Today, we are diving deep into the science of how we get stuck, and way more importantly, how we can break free. We're going to look at how we go from being run by these unconscious programs to consciously, intentionally creating a brand new reality for ourselves. So are you ready? Let's get into it.
Have you ever had that feeling, like you're trapped in a loop? You're thinking the same thoughts, making the same choices, and guess what? You're getting the same results day after day. Well, it turns out that feeling isn't just in your head.
You see, that feeling of being stuck is actually a biological program. It's your body and your brain running on this unconscious autopilot, one that's been built from all the thoughts, actions, and emotions of your past. And the sheer scale of this is, well, it's pretty staggering. Research shows that a mind-blowing 90% of our thoughts are just reruns from the day before. Just let that sink in for a second. 9 out of every 10 thoughts you have today are probably the exact same ones you had yesterday. It's this constant repetition that hardwires our brain into those automatic patterns.
This is all based on a really fundamental principle in neuroscience. Think of it like this. You're creating a path in a forest. The very first time you walk it, it's tough, right? But the more you use that same path, the clearer it gets, until it becomes the easiest, most automatic route to take. Your thoughts work in the exact same way. So how exactly does this wiring lock us in so tightly? It happens through this incredibly powerful biological cycle called the thought-feeling loop. This is what literally conditions our bodies to live in the past. Let's break down how it works.
It all kicks off with a single thought, and often it's one we're not even aware of. Something repetitive like, I'm not worthy or I'm not good enough.
Now, here's the key. You aren't your thoughts. You are the one who observes your thoughts. This loop only gets its power if you unconsciously accept that thought as the truth. And when you do, it naturally leads to a choice that lines up with it. That choice then drives a very specific, often automatic behavior. So if you're thinking you're not worthy, you might choose to just not apply for that new job or maybe avoid starting a new relationship. And of course, this behavior creates an experience. By not taking that opportunity, you experience staying exactly where you are, which only ends up reinforcing that original belief you had.
And finally, that experience produces that familiar feeling, that emotion of unworthiness. This feeling then triggers the exact same thought, and boom, the cycle starts all over again. You've just conditioned your body to chemically remember that feeling, to literally live in that state of being.
This brings us to an absolutely crucial point. Emotions are the end product of past experiences. So when you live by these familiar feelings every single day, your body, it doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know if it's the real past event or the emotion you're generating right now. It chemically believes it's reliving that past experience over and over and over again.
The turning point in all of this comes when you decide, consciously, to break the cycle. This means you have to become aware of those unconscious thoughts and choose differently. And I'll tell you right now, that process, it's going to feel uncomfortable because you're stepping out of what's familiar and predictable.
Think of it like you're crossing a river. On one side, you have your old self. It's familiar territory, it's everything you know, it's predictable. On the other side is the new self. That's the unknown, that's uncertainty, that's where all the new possibilities live. Real change means you have to leave the safety of that familiar shore for the uncertainty on the other side.
Okay, so once we've made that decision to cross the river, how do we actually build the new self that's waiting for us? Well, the key is to think of your brain like a computer. You have to proactively install new hardware and new software, and here's how you do it.
It's a clear, actionable formula. Step 1, you install new thoughts. You do this by putting your intention and your attention on the beliefs you want to have, like, I am worthy. Step 2, you mentally rehearse how your new self is going to think, act, and feel in specific situations in the future. And third, and this is so important, you teach your body what that future feels like before it happens by generating elevated emotions like gratitude or joy.
So here's the magic trick, the secret sauce. Your brain literally cannot distinguish between a real-life experience and one you intensely imagine. Through mental rehearsal, you can change your brain's circuits to look as if your desired future has already happened. You're priming your body for a whole new reality.
This all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we put it into practice? What are the actual tools that make this kind of profound change possible? Well, two of the most powerful and accessible ones are meditation and breathwork. Now, let's be clear. Meditation isn't about emptying your mind or stopping your thoughts. It's actually a very active process. It's about becoming so familiar with your old programmed thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that they don't run you on autopilot anymore. It's about getting to know your new, desired self so well that it becomes your new default state of being.
A huge part of this process is choosing your emotional state. The emotions of survival, anger, fear, guilt, they're all derived from stress hormones, and they anchor us in the past. But creative emotions, things like gratitude, love, joy, worthiness, those signal to your body and your genes that you are already living in your new future.
When you're in that survival mode, living by those stress hormones, your heart beats incoherently. Your brain fires incoherently. This biological chaos just drains your energy and narrows your focus, locking you right back into those primitive reactive patterns.
And this is where a simple tool like breathwork becomes an absolute superpower. By consciously slowing down and regulating your breath, you send a direct signal to your nervous system that you're safe. This simple act, even for just a minute, can bring order and coherence back to your heart rhythm and your brain waves. It creates the biological state of calm and clarity that you need to create a new future.
This entire journey, it all starts with one single decision. The moment you truly make up your mind that your past will no longer define you, that moment is a profound turning point. It's the moment you take your power back.
So let's just recap the key takeaways here. First, your personality, that's how you think, act, and feel, creates your personal reality. Second, remember that emotions are the chemical record of the past. Third, to truly change, you have to be willing to get uncomfortable and step into the unknown. Fourth, you absolutely have the power to build a new mind by mentally rehearsing a new future. And finally, never ever forget, where you place your attentions is where you place your energy.
Look, this isn't just some abstract theory. It's a practical model for transformation. It turns passive knowledge into an active process of creation. So the only question left for you is this: what future will you start rehearsing today?